Number 9. A helmet in the Martian surface. Conspiracy theorists love to scour images of the Martian surface for objects that look man-made. In 2012, one pseudoscience fanatic claimed to have spotted a Nazi helmet and human remains in photos that were taken by NASA's Curiosity rover. In a bizarre video, YouTube user UFO Vidi cited the objects as evidence that the Nazis visited the Red Planet. At the time of posting, NASA hadn't yet commented on the matter, perhaps because they thought it was so ridiculous that it wasn't worth their time. Just a guess. Not all the video's viewers were convinced. Some commented that the items were probably just rocks. This is usually what NASA tells people whenever they think they see signs of humans having been on Mars, which is surprisingly often. Others took the claim seriously. One commenter pointed out that the helmet more closely resembled a French Adrian helmet rather than a Nazi headpiece. Another asked in a seemingly serious tone how the helmet would attach to a spacesuit. The alleged discovery came on the heels of another outlandish claim from conspiracy theorists who were convinced that they had spotted a set of ancient wheels on Mars. They perceive the objects as evidence that at one time, aliens used advanced transportation on the Red Planet. But these so-called truth seekers have largely failed to explain how life would survive on a planet without liquid waters, and where temperatures are known to plummet as low as -193 degrees Fahrenheit. Number 8. Humans turned Mars red. Earlier this year, an overly imaginative TikTok user who goes by the handle Crackhead Joe Dirt posted a video claiming that humans once lived on Mars, but made it unlivable due to nuclear war. The narrator went on to say that the war caused a nuclear winter to set in, giving the planet its famous red hue. Claiming that Mars isn't naturally red, Crackhead Joe Dirt explained that enough nuclear weapons were detonated to cause a thick layer of ash to overtake the atmosphere and block out the sunlight. As a result, the planet changed colors over the course of several million years. He also said that the people he believes once lived on Mars depleted it of its natural resources, including liquid water. Now, I can't speak for everyone, but I'm inclined to wonder just how credible someone who goes by the username Crackhead Joe Dirt is. Scientists believe that water may have flowed on Mars billions of years ago, before modern humans existed. Moreover, a recent study determined that Mars reached its current amount of water, or lack thereof, rather 3 billion years ago. At that time, the only human-like creatures on Earth were primitive hominids who walked on 2 legs, but were nowhere near as evolved as we are now. According to experts, the loss of water on Mars can be attributed to atmospheric escape or being absorbed into rocks where it may remain today. Additionally, they say that Mars is red because it's covered in iron oxide or rust rather than waste from nuclear fallout. So while Crackhead Joe Dirt's theory is entertaining, it doesn't exactly make sense. To most people, that is. Number 7. Mars hosted an ancient alien civilization. Our fascination with Mars began during the early 19th century, when telescopes improved and gave us a much better view of the Red Planet. Humanity's curiosity has only grown since then, and it'll probably grow even more in the future as space technology continues to advance and scientists work to realize their vision of sending astronauts there. Rovers like NASA's Curiosity and Perseverance have snapped some of the most detailed pictures of Mars to date. While being able to see the landscape up close is helping scientists learn more than ever about the Red Planet, it's also caused some strange results among the general population. Anyone can access these images, and many people read far too deeply into what they see, sparking widespread rumors of man-made objects or evidence of alien civilizations on the Martian surface. People also misinterpret scientific findings. Take, for example, California Congressman Dana Rohrabacher, who in 2017 asked planetary scientists to investigate the possibility of an alien society existing on Mars thousands of years ago. He peppered his pitch with references to recent discoveries of Mars possibly once being home to large bodies of water. In short, Rohrabacher had taken the findings to mean that the planet was once life-sustaining. During an inquiry on the matter, panelist and NASA scientist Ken Farley tried to explain that any water on Mars dried up billions of years ago. Researchers believe that the water either escaped from the atmosphere or was absorbed into the planet's rocks. Farley also pointed out that there's no evidence of aliens ever having lived on Mars. Rohrabacher asked Farley why he would rule out the possibility, and he responded by saying that it's highly unlikely. This is just one of many examples of people misconstruing scientific findings, none of which are meant to imply that Mars ever hosted complex life forms. Do you agree with Farley, or do you think it's possible that aliens lived on the Red Planet? Let me know in the comments below, but first, be sure to like and subscribe. Number 6. Elvis Presley is alive and well and on Mars. Scott C. Waring is well known in the pseudoscience world, and to the experts who are constantly having to dispel his far-fetched conspiracy theories. In 2015, the armchair scientist made news headlines for yet another of his many outrageous claims. While doing what he does best, overanalyzing photos of space bodies with what can only be copious amounts of free time, Waring spotted a so-called alien figure on the Martian surface. Then he noticed what looked like Elvis Presley's signature white bell-bottom jumpsuit. Of course, he took the idea and ran with it instead of considering that maybe this was a classic case of someone interpreting a naturally occurring object as human-related. The tendency to do this is much like how we often look up at the sky and liken the shapes of clouds to man-made objects. Except when we do this with clouds, we're aware that we're perceiving them in a certain way and that there's no deeper story behind what we're seeing. But when it comes to rocks on Mars, people cling to the idea that something that looks man-made really could be. Waring's claim of seeing Elvis alive and well on the Red Planet is just one of many examples of this, as you'll learn throughout today's video. Number 5. Mars is the same size as the full moon. In 2003, an email titled Mars Spectacular began circulating throughout the World Wide Web. At the time, Mars was due to approach the Earth at a historically close distance, and the email's original writer probably meant well, but the information they provided got wildly misconstrued. The message explained that during the event, Mars would look as big as the full moon, but many readers interpreted the statement as meaning that Mars is the same size as the full moon, and they failed to realize that a telescope would be needed to achieve the visual effect. Moreover, the email pertained strictly to 2003, when the Red Planet was due to come closer to Earth than it had in 60,000 years. Yet every year since, like clockwork, the Mars Spectacular message has resurfaced. For example, out of 51 calls that the New York City's Hayden Planetarium received ahead of an expected total lunar eclipse in 2007, 48 were from people asking about the upcoming view of Mars. Experts concede that the original email is mostly accurate, but it falsely implies that Mars would not come as close to the Earth as it did during the 2003 event for another 60,000 years after. In fact, the Red Planet will approach at a similar distance much sooner than that, in 2287. The email also claims that Mars was the brightest object in the sky besides the Moon, but Venus actually glowed brighter. Despite these errors, the confusion surrounding the Mars Spectacular message resulted mostly from people misunderstanding what they were reading, and setting the record straight has proven to be practically impossible. Number 4. The face on Mars. News headlines went wild in 1976 over an image of what looked like a gigantic human face protruding from the Martian surface. Scientists combated conspiracy theories from day one of the hype, claiming that the formation was no more than a pile of rocks that bear an uncanny resemblance to a face. According to experts, the photo's lights and shadows hit the rocks in just the right way, and that's all the explanation boiled down to. But this isn't very exciting, so of course, conspiracy theorists let their imaginations run wild. They denied that the site was natural, and many claimed that the formation is evidence of life on Mars. Some believers even argued that the face represents the remnants of buildings left behind by an ancient alien civilization. Both NASA and the European Space Agency took more detailed photos of the face and concluded, not surprisingly, that their original analysis is correct, that the face is nothing more than an optical illusion. Number 3. Scientists discovered organic compounds on Mars. Chief NASA scientist John Grotzinger didn't mean to convey the wrong message when he expressed his excitement about a discovery made by the Mars Curiosity rover that had yet to be announced. But people began speculating about what he could possibly mean, with many defaulting to the assumption that the rover had found complex organic compounds. In other words, basic building blocks of life. When Grotzinger described the discovery as one bound for the history books, he was referring to simple chlorinated organics. These are chemicals containing carbon and at least one chlorine atom. They were collected by Curiosity Sample Analysis at Mars Instrument, or SAM, but at the time, it was still unclear whether the compounds originated on Earth and were somehow brought to Mars, or if they were truly Martian. Grotzinger was taken aback by how his statement had caused so much confusion. He later said that the experience taught him a lesson about watching what he says in a world where people live at the pace of Instagram, perhaps implying the instant gratification we seek in today's society. At the same time, Grotzinger was pleased with how much interest the mission generated. Number 2. There's a gorilla on Mars. In 2016, British tabloids decided that it would be fun to get readers worked up by featuring a photo of an alleged gorilla on Mars. Captured by NASA's Curiosity rover in 2004, the image drew little attention when the agency first published it, but then it appeared in a YouTube video made by someone known only as Mr. Enigma. The video inspired far-fetched headlines across mainstream media, adding the so-called gorilla to a growing list of animals that conspiracy theorists believe they've identified in photos of the Martian landscape. Pseudoscience enthusiasts reportedly scoured the internet for hours searching for an earthly species that they could correlate with the extraterrestrial primate. Some even pointed out that the photo also featured what looked like a camel, while others saw a mother bear and a cub in the image. It's a little outlandish to think that the animals we see here on Earth could also somehow exist in space, or that the species of our world would look anything like life on Mars, even if it did exist. But these beliefs have spread like wildfire over the years. In fact, in some of Mr. Enigma's other YouTube videos, he points out what he believes are numerous objects that are unique to planet Earth, including an octopus and an Egyptian statue. It's easy to believe that this content was created by someone who's out of touch with reality, or perhaps that it was made as a joke. But Mr. Enigma is just one of many people who have made similar claims, and who seem truly convicted in their belief that human-made objects and earthly life forms exist in outer space. In recent years, conspiracy theorists have reported seeing crabs, lizards, bears, rabbits, and other animals on the Martian surface, and as always, the scientific community stands by its claims that these are nothing more than rocks and other natural features of the landscape.
Number 1.
A thigh bone on the Martian surface. People who believe, or at least want to believe, that there was once life on Mars will cling to even the slightest perceived evidence of it. This was certainly the case in 2014, when NASA's Curiosity rover snapped pictures of what looked to many like a thigh bone. Conspiracy theorists and alien fanatics spotted the femur-like formation and immediately decided that it proves that the red planet once harbored life. Media outlets added to the hype by distributing the story to the masses to draw their own conclusions from. NASA tried to squash the rumor by releasing a statement that the object is just a rock shaped by natural processes like wind and water erosion. Surprisingly, most people seem to have accepted the explanation, and the buzz died down, at least for the moment. The story resurfaced last year, sparking a fresh round of claims that the evidence of past life on Mars had been found. Thankfully, unlike the first time, numerous news outlets were quick to dispel the rumor rather than appeal to shock value. Several articles reminded readers of NASA's statement from years earlier about the object being a rock. In doing so, they mentioned how Mars may have once been able to host living organisms, but even if they did, the creatures would have been microscopic. Simply put, there was never enough oxygen in the atmosphere for anything bigger to survive. Unfortunately, even the most logical explanation will fail to sway someone who wants to believe that there's more to the story. One way or another, they will find a way to make sense of their views, even when doing so comes at the expense of being irrational. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe for more crazy videos. Bye for now.